This is the Water Your Garden podcast. I'm Sarah Michaels. This episode is all about you, your chance to water your own garden, pour into your own life, and grow. Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Today on Water Your Garden, we are exploring the power of stillness and self-awareness with Molly Beauregard. Now, Molly has spent more than 2 decades teaching sociology at the College for Creative Studies in Detroit. But what makes her story truly remarkable is the way that she brought meditation into her classroom. Back in 2011, she integrated meditation into her classroom after hearing from 4 of her students out of 22 students that they were struggling with thoughts of taking their own lives. Molly tells us that the results of bringing meditation into her classroom have transformed her students' lives. Today on the show, we are diving into all of that and Molly's book, Tuning the Student Mind. You'll be able to walk away from this episode, or at least I know I am walking away from this episode with the tools that we need to feel more grounded, more self-aware, and also to live our happiest and healthiest lives. Without further ado, welcome Molly Beauregard to the show. Molly Beauregard, welcome to Water Your Garden.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. I'm delighted to be here. This is fun.
We are so excited to have you here. Your journey with teaching meditation largely began as a sociology professor at the College for Creative Studies. I want to start there. What were you noticing with your students?
So, my background is in sociology. I had an amazing opportunity at around 2001, I think I started, to teach sociology at the College for Creative Studies. And to be perfectly honest, I'm going to tell you for 7 or 8 years, it flowed, it went very much, it mirrored my experience of having been a college student. I really liked my students. They were engaged. I enjoyed the experience of teaching. And somewhere along the way, I'm going to say 2008-ish, I started to notice a very distinct difference in my students and a shifting atmosphere in the classroom. I often tell the story. It started when this one day I was trying to make some grand, important point, and I tend to walk around the room, with my hands moving.
Yes.
And my students were typing, and I was thinking to myself, oh, they think I'm so brilliant. They're recording every word that I have to say.
Yes.
And I, walk to the back of the room, and I turn around, and with this ta-da moment of espousing my wisdom, I see that it was just a sea of Tetris. MySpace at the time, imagery. And I had this recognition that they were attending much more to the computer than they were attending to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it sort of started there. It continued, though, when more and more students were skipping classes, just not showing up. And then over the course of a particular semester, I had 22 students enrolled in my class. And over the course of that semester, 4 of them made private confessions to me that they had made serious attempts on their life.
Wow.
4
out of 22?
4 out of 22. Which initially stunned me, but also broke open my mama heart. And it was interesting because I think at that point, despite having graduate work in sociology, I made the assumption that I was a pattern of one. This was my fault. It was only happening at CCS. It was only happening with my students, that I was doing something wrong. And of course, that's never the case. Things don't happen in a vacuum. And at the end of that particular semester, I went to a meeting with, her name was Arlene LaCours, and she ran the Student Success Center, and Val Weiss, who was the director of wellness, and she's a counselor. And they showed a group of us at CCS some statistics on what was going on in college campuses across the country. And the statistics just blew me away. The increasing rates of mental illness, binge drinking, suicide, and on it goes. And at that point, I started to think about what I might be able to do in my classroom to help students, to help heal at least the small population that I was seeing. Um, and so that was why and how I started to think about integrating meditation into the core curriculum of an academic class. Now, that sounds really easy.
Yeah, well, I would wonder too, how did that even come to your mind? Were you already familiar with meditation, or how did you reach that conclusion?
So at this point now, I'm a 35-year meditator. I practice transcendental meditation.
Amazing.
I'm also a certified primordial sound meditation teacher, which is the
Mm.
meditation that Deepak Chopra promotes and advocates for. Both of these practices are mantra-based practices, and we
Okay.
can get into what that means later. But initially, I think whenever anybody faces a crisis, they think about what tools they have in their toolbox. And that was a tool I had in my toolbox. And so I just thought, oh, well, this is logical. This is a
Hmm.
tool that's worked for me. And so I'm going to assume that it will work for other people. Similar to the story you told me about yourself. You had an experience with becoming interested in wellness and thought to yourself,
Yeah,
I,
very similar.
right?
I want to be a part of the change. Like the practices that I learned, I started this to implement them and help other people learn about them, including meditation. So you decided you wanted to start implementing this into your courses. How did that work?
So initially, I thought, well, this will be great. Everybody will think it's as good an idea as I do. And I was like running
Of
around and
course,
knocking. I was
yeah.
like, hey, everybody, I got the solution. Not exactly the way to go about things. It was very
Okay.
challenging. Remember,
A lot of resistance
there was
from
a lot of
students and
resistance.
professors.
Not as much resistance from students, a lot of resistance from the people that put together
Mm,
curriculum. I think there were a lot of questions around, well, if we do this, then what else might we have to integrate into our courses? And we need so much time to do the academic
yeah,
training that we do here at the college. And so some of the concerns were really legitimate and easily quelled by offering some research on the benefits of meditation. But some of the resistance was a little bit deeper and harder to get at.
they don't like change.
Don't
They
like
don't like things that
change.
are new or different.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And it wasn't, at that point as much. I mean, meditation for thousands of years has been a part of the cultural language, but at that time it wasn't as much a part of pop culture the way we see that it is today.
Right.
There wasn't as much understanding. It was sort of the beginning of some bubbling up.
Hmm.
Hey, this works, and let's think about all the different ways we might be able to use it to help people. So what happened was I had a student who I was close to from a class that I had taught a couple semesters previous. And I reached out to her and I said, Chelsea, her name's Chelsea Jackson. Um, I said, do you have some friends? Would you be interested in taking a class like this? What do you think would work on a college campus? And we started offering some introductory lectures and conversations about what meditation is and inviting students into this space. And we had a supportive faculty member, Scott Boganowski at CCS, who is now at Savannah School of Art Design, who was a film professor. And he said, this is a cool idea. Let's run this class as an experiment and
Hmm.
let's see what happens. And students loved it.
I believe it. I would have loved something like that. How did the course work? What were you doing?
So the course has evolved over the years, and it's interesting. I think initially, like I said, I had this tool I wanted to offer students. And so when I originally conceived of the course, I had an idea of just bringing meditation in and meditating together and a little bit of kumbaya and daisy chain making.
Amazing. I want
Amazing.
to join. Yeah.
Yeah, so fun. But there were demands from the liberal arts department that forced me to reckon with the fact that it also had to be an academic course.
Hmm.
And ultimately, that served the students and it served me. And it helped me to really think through what it was I was doing and why this could be a completely different way to approach education. And this is where things get a little bit complicated and a
Hmm.
little bit tricky. So I refer to this type of educational course as consciousness centered education. just to validate it,
Her book, if you're watching the video.
I have written a book,
Yes.
which was published by SUNY Press in New York. So I only say that to validate that this is a real academic idea that holds merit. And now I will speak in lay people language.
Yes.
Make this totally digestible. When we bring, when we only focus on the objective, right, the academic knowledge, people get a little stiff. It feels a little bit rigid. And so it's interesting to students to have the opportunity to have courses that share academic knowledge, objective knowledge, subjective and reflective ways of knowing, which is where the sociology comes in.
Okay.
Sort of these reflective questions about who am I? Who do I want to be? Mindfulness exercises. And then the third component is the meditation. And when we meditate together in silence, we create a foundation of transcendence in the classroom. And this creates coherence in the whole group, meaning that people feel more connected to one another. It feels like we're doing this course together in a way to elicit collective reflections, and it becomes a little less of a poppy fizzy atmosphere. So the course has all three of these elements in it. It has objective sociological knowledge and theory, questioning who are you, why do you want to, what do you want to be, not what do you want to do, but who do you want to be, why do you believe what you believe, are those beliefs really you, how do you know what you know, how have labels informed the way you think about yourself, what is your identity, moving beyond disparate identities, which sociologists are really good at doing. How do you understand your connection to the common humanity, to your peers, to your family, to the world? And then we also have this subjective, reflective opportunity in this class where students are really able to reflect on these questions in a personal manner, all while supported by transcendence or silence or coherence. So I have found this to be a much more enlivening, richer atmosphere to teach in. By the way, you can teach chemistry this way. You can teach engineering this way. You can teach math this way. You can teach French this way. You're simply inviting a quality into the classroom that allows for more coherence within the group.
I would imagine, too, college is such a transformative time, and it's also a time when people are really figuring out who they are. I truly can't imagine if I had had the opportunity at that age to be led by someone like yourself and to be asking myself those questions in that kind of environment. You talked about the fact that you had 4 students who came to you saying that they were having those thoughts, which I also want to acknowledge. It says a lot about you that 4 students felt comfortable enough to confide in you. I want to know, did you follow up with those students? Did you use these practices with those students who came to you? And what was the rest of that story with these practices?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I think, first of all, Sarah, I think you're right. I think all young people, and frankly, all old people, are grappling with their identity. We grapple with who we are throughout our lives.
Yeah.
And we are evolving. We are always evolving. We're fluid. You're never done deciding who you want to be because you can always change. So I think just acknowledging that right off the bat is such a profound recognition of the fact that we all have struggles. We're all asking these questions of ourselves, and sometimes we go to dark spaces to do that. One of the things that I incorporated into the class was a paper, and I called it the research paper on the self. So I was meeting the demands of the liberal arts department by asking students to reflect on their lives within the context of the sociological literature, meaning there was a bibliography, but to share their personal story and where their personal story intersected with the cultural moment. So, for example, over the years, I've had students write about where they were when 9/11 happened and how that terrified their 6-year-old self and how it terrified their parents and how that led to certain anxieties, being a part of their physicality. And then their parents responded to those anxiety and how did these anxieties grow and twist and change in the wind.
Yeah.
I've had certainly lots of students grapple with their sexuality. I've had students grapple with diagnoses that they've had. I've had students write about having diagnoses that they felt became the totality of their identity and trying to move away from that as an understanding that it was an aspect of themselves, but not the totality of who they were.
Hmm.
And so the honor or the privilege of reading those papers has given me so much insight into the richness of the landscape of young people and the irony that they all feel alone and they all feel lonely in their suffering. And yet there's so many commonalities between the themes that they share.
Hmm.
All of the stories are uniquely personal, and there's an infinite number of ways to express yourself.
Hmm.
And yet there's only really so many themes, you know?
Hmm.
And having read close to, I don't know, 1,500 papers like this, I think it's given me both tremendous compassion for young people
Yeah, I can
as
imagine.
well as tremendous respect for the way young people move through their lives and do their best and try to
Hmm.
find solutions. And remember the young people. I mean, I've been teaching for 23 years, so the top end of my students are now like 40,
Yeah.
down to 21.
Hmm.
So it's been interesting, and I'll tell you what's super interesting. Different semesters and different cohort groups revealed different themes, and I always thought this was bizarre. I'd love to do research on it.
Yeah.
I had one semester where I think I had 3 students write about having had childhood cancer, which I thought was so strange because that's kind of a rare thing, but 3 of the I'd
Hmm.
never heard it before and I didn't after.
Hmm.
I've had semesters where almost everybody in the class,
Hmm.
their parents had gotten divorced and they had struggled with moving through that. I've had classes where I've had a group of fundamentalist Christians who felt raised in very rigid kinds of families and were sort of trying to decide what they wanted to take from that and what they, wanted to
Right.
kick to the curb.
Hmm.
So it was very interesting to me always how themes would come up at particular times. And to go back to your question, I am often very fortunate to follow up with students and find out. People often send me little stories. I didn't know what you were talking about when I was 18, but now I value it. Or thank you for sharing this. Or sometimes people push back on me.
Hmm.
But I have had the good fortune to know that those 4 students and many others who suffered deeply as young people have landed on their feet with jobs and families and friends and feeling much better about themselves.
Have any of them shared with you if meditation, it's okay if the answer is no, have they shared with you if meditation or those practices have come with them and if it did make a difference with them?
It's always interesting in any group. You'll have 1 or 2 who come out of the first meditation and, you know, they're like radicalized. They're like, this has changed my life. I have a couple of great stories about that.
Yes.
You'll have 1 or 2 who come out, they're like that was a stupid assignment. Like that's dumb.
Yeah.
And then the great majority fall in the middle. They dip in, they do it for the semester, and they like it. And it's hard for me to know how far they take it.
Hmm.
I have a research appendix in my book. And for me, what's most interesting is that over the course of the 5 semesters that I was measuring my students' responses to this meditation, the number one thing that I found was that they feel more connected to both themselves and other people.
Hmm.
So there's a diversity of other responses, meaning that they feel more peaceful, they're more able to get their schoolwork done, they report feeling less tired, they report being able to fall asleep easier.
Mm.
But to me, what is the most profound response is I feel more connected to the wholeness of myself.
Hmm.
And by feeling connected to myself, I feel more connected to my peers. And I see my peers in much richer, more forgiving ways.
Hmm. I was really interested to have you on the show. I've been interested in meditation for a while now, but I've really been becoming more interested in trying to incorporate it in the last year or so. I know for myself, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to this, it's so much scrolling. And in today's age, it's so much like achieve this, scroll on this, like act on this, get this done. And it just becomes really hard to clear your head. Can you talk to us about what meditation is? Because that's something that I struggle with. Is meditation complete silence? Is it breath work? Is it mantras? Is it a mix of all three?
So, one of the things that I think we need to work on in this country is connecting practices back to their original philosophical roots.
Mm.
We have a lot of disjointed practices in this country because we've secularized these practices. We've taken them out of the ashram, out of the church, out of the Eastern philosophical tradition,
Mm-hmm.
and we've westernized them so that Western people can understand them. And that's okay because we're getting little bits and pieces of meditation practice, but we're never really sure how or what it connects back to, or how to get to this space, this nirvana that we all want to get to.
Yes, yeah.
So that's a much longer conversation. What I would say is there's a lot of really good practices out there. There are waking practices of just noticing how you feel in any given moment. A lot of mindfulness practices ask you to, what are 5 things you can see? What are 4 things you can hear? What are 3 things you can smell? What are, 1 thing you can taste?
Yeah.
And this gets us back in our body, feeling our feels.
Mhm.
And these can be very powerful practices to lead us towards presence so that we're more connected to our own lives and, to your point, less in our imaginary worlds.
Yeah.
The scrolling
Or your
being
mind
one
just
way. Yeah.
going and going.
Going
That's
and-
a big struggle for me. Like, I feel like I can't even keep up with my mind sometimes.
Oh, that's so well said.
As I said, I was like, yeah, that's how I feel. Sometimes I feel I'm a morning person, but I struggle with, like, I wake up and I tell my husband all the time, the second I open my mind, or that is how it works.
Yeah.
The second I open my eyes, it's like my mind's already going.
Yeah, you got a monkey mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that just means your brain is working.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah. But that's what brains are
encouraging.
supposed to do.
Yeah.
Brains think, and they like to think. So, to sort of move to this idea of silence, it's very hard in a short period of time to speak specifically about how to train somebody to do a mantra-based meditation or vipassana or even breath work.
Yeah.
But when you use a mantra, here's the idea, and there are people who would also speak about this in breath work. When you use a mantra and you allow the mind, and a mantra is a sound with no meaning.
Sound with no
The
meaning?
sound Om is the
I
universal
see.
mantra.
Okay.
It is a sound with no meaning.
Mm.
So it naturally reflects, it naturally allows the mind to relax around that sound.
Hmm.
So if I told you, sit in this chair and think about, tulip, 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 repeat tulip over and over and over again,
Right.
your mind is going to be like, oh, I like red tulips, or do I really like yellow tulips? Or my mom brought me tulips one time, or I really like spring. I think I like summer better than spring. You're going to start
Yes.
to. But when you have a sound with no meaning attached to it,
Mm-hmm.
the mind naturally relaxes and falls into silence.
I've never heard it explained that way. That's so helpful. Okay.
So you're still going to have thoughts, but the thoughts are not your enemy. When you have a thought, you notice it
Mm-hmm.
and you try to calmly go back to the mantra. You calmly go back, Om, Om, Om.
Mm-hmm.
And in the space between each time you think Om is that silence, is that gap. So even in your mind, when you're thinking all the time, where is the mind going between those thoughts? It's going to consciousness. It's going to the pool where all thoughts are. Even when you're speaking to me,
Mm-hmm.
you do this automatically and spontaneously. You've got some notes, but you also just know how to think. And you could say, Molly, have you always lived in Detroit?
Mm-hmm.
And you could follow that by saying, do you like living in Detroit?
Mm-hmm.
Do you live in suburban Detroit, or do you do you think it's too cold in Detroit?
Mm-hmm.
There's 10 bazillion different ways you could follow that question. The mind is always going to that silence to find that next question. So we're just, when we meditate, acculturating that silence, bringing more of that silence into the mind so that we feel more grounded in ourselves.
That's interesting. I always thought of mantras as, I thought they were the same as affirmations, which shows how juvenile I am in my meditation journey. And affirmations have been really big for me.
Affirmations are fabulous.
I've been using them so much, but I am going to try mantras because now that you explain it, it sounds like the mantra, the Om, it is that channel. It gives your brain the ability, by focusing on the Om, you're able to focus on less things. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And you drop into the silence. I'll tell you one quick story and then I'll come back to affirmations. I had a student, and every semester prior to the meditation training, I'd sort of scan my room, and I'd try not to have too much prejudice against who's going to love it and who's not going to love it. But I'd always, test myself. I'd sort of know.
Flowy clothing. They might like it a little more.
Yeah. And I had this one semester, I had this young man, and I could just tell, I mean, he was like this big guy, like leather jacket, and wore boots to class. He kind of clumped into class, and this bushy beard. So sad. And I just thought, this class is kind of new. Like, I don't really need this kid to muck this up.
Yeah.
Anyway, he shows up, and he goes into the meditation room, and he comes out of the meditation room after having had his first meditation, and I see him, and he's walking down the hall toward me, and I get just like, oh boy,
nervous.
And he walks down and he stands in front of me, and I said, "Are you okay, Michael?" And he gets huge crocodile tears in his eyes, and he looks at me and he says, "Molly, I just don't understand why nobody ever took the time to show me that was inside of me."
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, because you're creating a space that without that course, many people probably never would have taken the time to learn that.
Yeah. And he became a favorite student. He became...
I believe it.
Yeah. So that's a good story. But back to affirmations. Keep doing them. Affirmations are amazing and fabulous, but just know they're different. You're still swirling around on the surface level of your thoughts.
Yes.
That's great. Keep doing it.
Would affirmations almost be, for someone like me, I like how you said a monkey brain. I'm probably going to start using that. That is how I feel. Yeah. Swinging from vine to vine. Would affirmations almost be step one, and a mantra would be a level deeper?
Oh, that's a great question.
Or is it simply just different?
I think it's just different. I think that there are people that are really attracted to affirmations, or...
I love them.
Like yoga nidra, when you lie on the, in shavasana, and somebody does a guided meditation.
Oh, amazing.
That can be a profound experience of relaxation. And I think of affirmations in a sort of a similar category. I like a mantra-based meditation because it's easy, because it's effortless, because it takes me to the silence. But you have to do it. It's kind of like trying to lose weight without ever getting on a treadmill or taking a walk around the block.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to do it.
Do you meditate?
Do what's easy.
Do you meditate every day?
I do.
What is your practice? Is it in the morning? Is it at nighttime? What do you do?
I practice twice a day, every day. I practice, I wake up, and I wake myself up enough. I go to the bathroom, or I, go brush my teeth. I just wake up a little bit, and then I sit in my bed. I don't have a special pose, but I sit up, because if the body's lying down, you're telling the body
just
to go to
sleep. I would probably go to sleep. Yeah.
So I still fall asleep sometimes, but I'm sitting up. It's my subtle nod.
Yes.
And so I meditate in the morning, and then I get up and start my day, and I meditate. I like to meditate right before dinner, ideally late afternoon, because if I meditate in the evening, I'm busy digesting my food.
Yes.
And then all the energy in my body is going to my belly rather than, where I want it. Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
But remember, I have a 35-year practice. So, I had years at the beginning where I was not meditating twice a day, every day. I've eased my way in.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken a lot of courses on meditation, and it's very much who I am.
That leads me to my next question. For someone who has never meditated before, what are some simple steps that you would recommend? How can you ease into meditation?
There's a lot of apps out there.
Mm-hmm.
Just online, you can find plenty of meditation teachers who offer different.
YouTube for me, I do a lot of YouTube meditations because it's free.
Who do you like?
I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I just look for, and like I said, I'm a big affirmation person. So sometimes I'm on camera a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to be completely transparent, like sometimes I don't feel like being on camera. I don't feel like performing. So I've looked up confidence meditations. I've looked up nighttime meditations for falling asleep when I feel like I can't get my mind to slow down. And I am a fan of Louise Hay.
Oh,
What do you think of Louise Hay? Yes.
Sister.
Okay, yeah.
I love
Okay, good. I
Louise
love
Hay.
her too, and I don't have anyone to talk to about her.
Oh, she's amazing.
Okay.
She's amazing. Talk about a pioneering,
Mm-hmm.
brilliant, and brave, courageous woman.
I feel good now. Yeah, because I listen to her stuff a lot.
She's amazing because she was talking about this before anybody was talking about this. And she was
Mm-hmm.
talking a lot about health and illness and how disease becomes, a part of our physicality
Yes.
and ways that we can try to avoid that. And she's really brilliant. And there were Saturday Night Live skits in the 80s. You probably don't
Mm-hmm.
remember this, where they made fun of Louise Hayes. There was a skit.
They make fun of everyone.
I
So, yeah.
know, it's okay. I am good. I am beautiful.
Oh, that's
I
me
love
in the car on the
myself.
way to work. Genuinely. But it
It's
helps me.
brilliant. It's brilliant. You
Yeah,
are
if
your
you
best
try it,
cheerleader. Absolutely.
it really turns my day around. And I don't know this story very well. You might know it better than me because you talked about those words, healing illness. Doesn't Louise Hay have a story about, didn't she have cancer and she used positive thoughts a lot?
She has a story, and I don't want to speak to the
Mm-hmm.
exactness of the disease, but she was profoundly ill and was able to heal herself using affirmations, which sent her on this incredible journey. She's terrific. There's a teacher named Roger Gabriel who's got a website, and he's got some really lovely um, guided meditations where he embeds some silence in the guided meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing a guided meditation, and you're following his voice, but there's space within it where you're just silent.
Mm-hmm.
And I find some of his guided meditations, I use them sometimes as students, to be pretty powerful.
Okay.
But the other thing is, if you can't find a way to do any of these meditations, start taking walks and noticing the beauty of the world around you.
Like a color walk. I do that sometimes.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm. So that's another thing when I find myself thinking very quickly when I walk, some people are gonna be like, you're crazy, girl. Sometimes when I walk, I'll say, that tree is green.
Yes.
That house is red. That flower is yellow. And it's a way to kind of slow your mind down.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love it.
If you're not into it, I think you
No.
might think it's a little crazy, but it really helps me.
I think you are ahead of the game, and I think the fact that you've invented this should be your moment. You're going.
No. I think someone
That's
else
so
invented
good.
it. I would like to think it was me. I think I heard it
you
somewhere.
got your own take on it. I like it.
Thank
it.
you.
I'm
We'll
going
pretend.
to give you credit because I haven't heard of it. But I mean, it matches a lot of the Japanese have
Yes.
a lot of forest bathing
Mhm.
meditations. Take a walk and bathe in the lushness of the natural world.
Mm-hmm.
That's profound. And you can do that without spending money and without taking a lot of time, actually doing something that you're already doing, but shifting your perspective, allowing yourself to, rather than rubberneck around the, ooh, what happened over there? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, so-and-so was so mean to me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take things so personally.
Mhm.
And shift. It's like, it's that big of a shift. See the beauty and try to enhance your own forgiving spirit, not don't take everything so personally.
Yes.
Yes.
Well said. Could write that on a quote on a mirror or something like that to remember. How do you feel about breath work? Do you incorporate that in your meditation as well?
I do. I am not a breathwork expert, but I do some pranayama prior to
Mm-hmm.
meditation. I'm not as disciplined doing it all the time, and it is super good to calm your nervous system prior to a sitting meditation. So I'm a big fan of breath work. But again, we all have our phobias. We all do what we can, like do what I can. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But I think breath work can be very, very profoundly impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it. Even a simple box breath, or a 4 count hold. Breathe in, hold it for 4 counts, breathe out.
It's the only
Hold it
one
for.
I know, and I do it every day, and I swear it's very, very helpful.
It's very calming to the nervous system.
Mm-hmm. How does meditation change your identity or how you see yourself, or how can it?
That's the $64,000 question. So I believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I believe that we all have finite identities, meaning the only way I can know who I am is by knowing what I'm not. You and I are sitting here. You have blonde hair and I have brown hair. You're younger than I am. You're a newscaster. I'm a sociology teacher. We have roles, we have parts we play. We have our gender, we have our race, we have our class. We have all of these different disparate ways, different ways of identifying ourselves. That's great. But I think as a culture, we've spent a little too much time thinking about our differences rather than understanding that we also have an infinite identity. And our infinite identity is where you and I connect. How wonderful it is, Sarah, that you give me the opportunity to express my Molliness in the face of your Sarah-ness.
Mm-hmm.
What an incredible blessing and honor it is for me to share in this space with you, hear myself talk, have you pull out these different responses. And my hope would be that I am offering you that same grace to feel your strength as a podcaster, as a newscaster, as a beautiful young woman. How amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to know ourselves in both of these ways and ultimately recognize that at the root level, you are me too, and I am you. We're just having a momentary expression of our difference so that we can learn things, so that we can understand ourselves better. So, a big piece of what I believe consciousness centered education is inviting people to recognize their finite identity, all the ways they're different from other people, validate those identities, legitimize that experience, congratulate them on carving out their perfect space in the world, while also recognizing that they are connected to the beyond, to the infinite, to the quantum field, to consciousness, to whatever words you want to use to describe the invisible stuff that moves through all of us.
Whew. It's deep. Even as you're saying that, I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around it. When you're talking to your students about that, what are some of the most common responses that you get?
Yeah. So this is why it's so hard for me to talk about what I do, because it takes 16 weeks.
Yes.
3 hours a semester,
Yeah.
3 hours a week for 16 weeks meditating together. Look, if you hear anything in that rings even a teeny bit true, know that you're hearing the totality of my message.
Mm-hmm.
I have 35 years of meditating and studying consciousness. Um, the paradigm that we live in is a paradigm where we're valuing the material more than the invisible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to take a minute for us to flip this paradigm. And so I am just here, as Louise Hayes was here before, to start talking about why affirmations work, to sort of take you out to the next step. And I'm not sure I understand it. I'm not sure. I mean, I too am on this path. I too am on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think it's complicated. I think it's tricky. And I also think it's really very, very simple. When you love yourself and are able to be comfortable in your own skin, you're able to love other people as yourself too, and see yourself reflected everywhere.
It's
and
beautiful.
I think meditation gives you that, helps you to get there.
For parents of young children, are there ways that you would implement meditation? It may sound crazy. Would you start implementing aspects of meditation with babies, toddlers?
I have a funny story. My middle daughter, when she learned to meditate, I think I trained her in a mantra-based meditation a little too young.
How young?
She was like 5, and she,
Oh, I love it.
yeah, she was like literally 5, and they
Yeah.
tell you in the training, to keep your mantra private, and it's your word to use, your sound to use.
Oh, okay.
And she really liked it, and so
Mhm.
she'd be on her bicycle and she'd be screaming her mantra, like.
Oh.
I think with young children, maintaining spaces where you just allow them to be who they need and want to be is the greatest thing you can do for young children. I think parents meditating and teachers meditating and not bringing their stress into the spaces where the children are is really the most profound gift you can offer your children. If you can heal yourself first and then care for the people you love, this is really more profound than offering children one more thing to do in their day and make them feel that it's their job to, heal themselves and then heal you. I think we've got things sometimes a little backward on that.
Mhm.
That's part of my class. The first thing I say to my students when they walk in is, there's nothing wrong with you.
Oh, that alone is very powerful, I would imagine.
There's nothing wrong with you. And we live in a world where we somehow have pathologized any kind of feeling that doesn't fit into a neat and cozy box of happiness. We pathologize people who see things, just outside what they should see. I mean, even talking about ghosts, or having psychic phenomena. We've pathologized that in a way that people who have experiences that aren't in a neat and tidy box feel crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And there are ways to talk about these things while staying grounded in our physicality and not turning them into symptoms of craziness.
Mm. For someone who wants to start meditating this week, what would be your number one piece of advice for them?
Sit, do it, take a walk, look at the trees, feel good, find a resource. I practice transcendental meditation. There are great transcendental meditation teachers in this area. Primordial sound meditation is another meditation meditation training course.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes will teach a group of people. If a group of people wants to get together, I will do that.
I want to come.
There you go.
Will you let me know
There
if you're
you go.
doing one?
I will let you know.
Okay,
if I'm
thank
doing
you. I
one.
definitely want to come.
Find what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't evaluate it. Just start doing it. Don't try to find what's best. Just start doing what comes. Trust that you are on the right path. Trust in the universal flow. Believe in yourself and take it as it comes.
That is so good. I want to clip that right there for my morning affirmations.
Oh, there you go. I'm going to
That
be in
was
your
really
head all
good.
the time, not just on space. Yes.
Please, I would love it. In a world that is so go, 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 achieve, scroll, go, what role do you think meditation plays into that?
Well, I'll be honest. I took myself off Instagram recently, maybe 3 weeks ago, because I just thought I don't need to be in this space of noise.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you can look at social media with a healthy attitude, great. But when I read about young people on phones for 8 hours a day, I really question.
Which I would guess that that's the average.
Yes. And by the way, it has been designed to be addictive.
No, it is. It's designed, what is it? a little bit of a dopamine hit
Mhm.
with all of the colors and the ability to scroll. I feel all the time, I really feel that doing this podcast, this show is my purpose in spreading these messages. But if I didn't, like if I stopped the show, I really think I would just delete everything because I know it's not good for you.
Well, I think that's so funny because I too have dabbled in podcasting and I
Mm-hmm.
have a couple of episodes out there. And the woman that I do it with, who's Chelsea Jackson, the original person who we put the class together, and she now teaches film at the University of Colorado.
Oh, wow.
So we this back and forth conversation, but we laugh all the time because we're both like we're doing this thing, but we have this really conflicted energy around having one more
Right.
megaphone out in the world. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't post a lot
Mm-hmm.
because it feels so counterintuitive to what it is that we're doing. And yet we feel like we have something of value to share. And I would argue that you have something of value to share. And my hope would be that the right people would find you. And I think even in this particular week that we're speaking, when a influencer of such huge prominence has died in such a profoundly horrific way, um, I think we all need to remind ourselves about how we're reacting to each other, how many voices we need out there. Maybe we're better off finding quieter voices, smaller audiences, moving a little bit more local,
Mm-hmm.
not dreaming so big about being the one, the only star out
Mm-hmm.
there, but creating space for a whole bunch of voices to be heard and holding the hope in our heart that the right people want to engage together.
Hmm. I like that train of thought. A good challenge for us this week.
Yeah.
I know that you have published a book. You held it up earlier. We can hold it up once again. Can you talk to us about your book? What is in it and what we can learn from it?
So the book is kind of interesting
Mm-hmm.
because, well, first of all, I never thought I'd be in a documentary film. Then I never thought I'd
You
write a
never
book, and
know.
then I never thought I'd be on a podcast. I mean, I'm like an adjunct professor
With
who's
a
taught
lot to
with a
share.
lot to share, and I think focused primarily on parenting and my three children. Anyway, but what's interesting about the book is that after the documentary film about my course came out and was shown, that's a whole nother longer story. But I had opportunities to go and speak on college campuses.
Oh, wow.
And I spoke on a bunch of different college campuses and would tell the story as I've done
Mm-hmm.
today and how I came up with the idea for the class, et cetera, and the experience of teaching the class. And people invariably would say, "Can you tell us what the class is about?" And, I had a syllabi. So I essentially wrote this book to share the story of my class.
Wow.
And each week of the book leads with a question. And these were questions that I would use to start the dialogue in the class. So there are questions, I'll just read a few of them. I won't read all
Please.
of them. But why do you believe what you believe about yourself? What types of knowledge do we value? What does the American dream look like today? How does the world around us inform our sense of self? Who is responsible? What do we really learn in school?
Mm.
How do we create a more compassionate world? And on it goes. And in the book, I offer the kinds of stories that I would share with my students, as well as an academic piece of knowledge that supported these stories and why the world might look the way it does. So talking about systems and how the systems and the way institutions function together have created this environment. And then each chapter ends with an excerpt from a student paper and my reflection
Cool.
back to the student paper. So what I love about the book is that I've brought my students with me, um, and that's where my heart is. That's where I love doing this because I love young people and I love mothering. And when those two things intersected, I
Mm-hmm.
just felt like I had room for a few more students after raising my own children. And so that is, for me, that is the gift. It's really showcasing the voices of young people.
You have a very warm and maternal presence.
Oh, yes.
After knowing you for about a day and spending time with you, I can see very quickly and easily why so many young people have felt a safeness with you and the ability to come to you with their darkest thoughts and things that they're struggling with. My next question would be, do you think that meditation has a place in every classroom in America?
No,
No. Why not?
I don't think we're there yet.
Mm.
When people try to put meditation into public schools, there's generally a lot of resistance because people want prayer or people want breath work or people just don't want anything. They want to stay very much in the evaluative realm in education. And I understand that. I'm a Catholic. I have a faith. I do not find that my meditation runs counter to my faith. I find, in fact, that it enhances my faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had many students reflect that same thing. Jewish students, Christian students, Muslim students
Mm-hmm.
have all reported that back to me. That said, the waters are kind of muddy in this area. And so I think college classrooms where students have an opportunity to choose what they're taking allows a space for the people who are ready to do this work in this way can find these classes is the place.
Mm-hmm.
Do I hope it spreads? Absolutely. But am I so naive as to think that everybody needs to sit right this minute and do what I do? No, there's lots of different pathways to finding out who you want to be and who you think you are.
Well said. Very wise of you to recognize that. For listeners who want to build a regular meditation practice into their life, but they struggle to find the consistent time, what would be your advice?
Turn off your phone.
That's it. We'll just leave it at that.
Just turn it off.
If
Turn
you
it
have
off.
time to scroll, you have time to
If you have
meditate.
time to scroll, you have time to meditate. And if you get 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes of quiet. It's 10
Mhm.
minutes of affirmation. It's 10 minutes of feeling better. Turn off your phone.
That's fair. I think that's something you could say. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Something that maybe I could even myself think about incorporating this week. If you want to practice meditation and you want to incorporate it into your life, the next time you feel yourself reaching for your phone, I'm going to get real crunchy. Why don't you reach into your mind instead?
Ooh, I like that. That was
Can
so
hear Connor
good.
laughing.
Oh,
Well, why
that
don't
was
you?
good. Yeah.
I do wonder if once a day for a week, when you feel yourself reaching for your phone, because inevitably you probably just want a little dopamine hit, what if once a week, no, what if once a day for a week, when you feel yourself wanting to reach for your phone, instead you took 2 minutes to meditate? What difference do you think that would make?
I am literally going to set out a challenge to our listeners from this. Yeah.
I love this.
I think that if people who choose to do that would write back to us and tell us what a difference that it made or didn't make for them, because I would love to hear their reflections. My hunch is, after years of doing this, that it would create a little bit of calm and a little bit of peace in their week. Now, what happens is they'll finish that week and then they'll feel so good. They'll sort of start thinking it was them and then
Yeah.
they'll fall off the wagon, which is
Yes.
really what happens when most people learn to meditate. You know, they feel better and then they fall off the wagon and they have to pick themselves back up. But, you know, I always said to my students, look, just try this for a semester. Just give me one semester of meditating in a group once a week and meditating on your own during the week, keeping a journal. Journaling is great. Journaling can be a wonderful meditative
I gotta get back
exercise.
into that. Yes.
Journaling is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And keep a journal of your reflections and see what happens. And if I had a dime for every student who found me 3, 4, 5 years later and said, you know, I fell off the wagon, but now I'm back into it and I'm reminded of all the things you told me, I would have a healthy, packet of dimes that I could walk around with clinking. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it would be interesting to hear how people feel after doing that.
I love this. Okay.
Mhm.
We've come across a good challenge now. Where can people find you? If people want to learn more about what it is that you're offering for students and in general, what's the best way to follow you and get in touch with you?
It's not hard. I have a website called mollybeauregard.com,
Hmm.
and that will lead you to all of my other things, the documentary film, and a link to the book, and a link to my podcast, which is called Consciousness and Creativity.
Oh, I
So,
like that.
yeah, right?
Hmm.
That's kind of fun. So, you can find it all at mollybeauregard.com. And I got to thank you, Sarah. Your questions are, I mean, I can feel that you are well into this journey.
Oh, thank you. I'm a beginner, but I really believe in it because it's already made a big difference for me.
Well, I think you're beautiful, you glow, and you're warm, and your
Thank you.
questions are very much help me to take my thoughts deeper, which tells me that you're a really good listener as well as a talker. So kudos to you.
That is very kind. Thank you, Molly. My last question every show. The name of the show is Water Your Garden. And the precipice is that every episode is a chance to water your metaphorical garden, to pour into yourself. Everything that you're sharing is pouring into our guests. What does watering your metaphorical garden look like for you in your day to day life outside of meditation? Because now we know meditation. What else do you do that really helps you to feel and be your best?
So it's funny that we share that. I hadn't even put it together until you said it that way, because that garden is a theme for the Tuning the Student Mind film, and it's a theme flowers
Oh,
and blooming and
wow.
blossoming.
Yes.
One of the things that I often say is that we bloom at different times. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I like a tulip, I like a lily, I like a mum in the fall, and I like a
Mm-hmm.
winter berry. So I love the theme of gardening, that we're always
Me too.
moving in cycles. But I think my answer to that in a very concrete, practical way is I'm a big believer in ceremony.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is I like to light candles, I like to burn incense, I like to do all of those things. But I also like to view my life through a ceremonial lens, meaning when I get up and I go downstairs to feed my cat and my dog, and I listen to the dog food hit the bowl,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel myself opening the cat food, I try to consciously remind myself of the ceremonial import of caring for my
Mm-hmm.
animals.
Oh.
I do a lot of yoga, and I
Mm-hmm.
try to remind myself that there's a ceremonial aspect to walking into the yoga room and putting out my mat. And I think when I do that, everything that I do becomes more precious to me. It
Mm-hmm.
reminds me to live with reverence and the grace of being alive and having the opportunity to do the things that I do. So, watering my garden for me is approaching my life with that ceremonial awareness that every moment is an opportunity to unlock the next moment. And there's just something really beautiful in that.
That is very beautiful. Sounds like a lot of grounding work.
Yeah, it's a lot of grounding work.
Molly Beauregard, thank you so much for coming on Water Your Garden. I know that you have given us so many tools that we can use this week to feel and be our best. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me in this gorgeous, gorgeous space.
Yes,
I
plug
feel
Femology.
elevated just by this space.
It's beautiful.
It's been a privilege to meet you, and I hope we get to spend some more time together. Maybe talking about, I don't know, we could talk about shoes. I love your boots.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would
Alrighty.
love to.
Awesome.
I'm trying to come to one of your meditation practices in the future.
Alrighty.
Please.
Awesome.
Thank you so much to Molly for coming on the show. You guys, she is truly such a light, so maternal, so warm. Share this episode with someone who you think may be interested in learning about meditation, or someone who could simply use some tools to feel more grounded, some clarity in their everyday life. As always, thank you so much for watering your garden with me. Love you guys.